So how long have you been practicing, Steve?
So I was called in 2020,
Okay.
beginning of, no, sorry, yeah, June 2020. So just over 3 years
Mhm.
here. But essentially this is my second career. I was in oil and gas before for about 10 years.
Okay.
So big shift. Running my own firm here. I started in 2021. And we're located in McLeod Plaza in Calgary here in deep southeast. It's a storefront, and yeah, it's been interesting.
At times, are you like, well, did I make the right move to also be an entrepreneur? Because it's starting yourself, your own business.
It's intense. It's insane actually because I was used to so much. Just my parents were both employees. They were both corporate lawyers.
Okay.
My brother's an employee, and I was used to that routine of working for someone, working for a firm, and I'm pretty loyal. I mean, I worked only for a couple of firms. I worked for one firm, like I said, like mostly in oil and gas for close to a decade, and it was a different feel. It's now that I've seen both worlds, I guess. Being an employee and having a guaranteed income, I guess, changed the way I saw things with the workload I had. Um, and I guess one of the biggest things too was just the flexibility in the flexibility, I guess, with the work. As an employee, I had my own ideas, what I wanted to do with clients and all that. But I was still told by other people, my supervisors and higher ups, okay, well, those are good ideas, but there's only so much we can do. Here, it took a while to get used to it. It's like I'm telling myself, hey, I have an idea, just run with it. And
Mhm.
different people might still kind of stop you, I guess, depending what that idea is, third parties outside of your job. But you're creating, I'm creating my own sort of schedule. I'm creating, and I was pretty good at with that as well. That's where oil and gas really helped with getting me scheduled, like showing up on time, setting up meetings. For a lot of it, I was managing clientele, so I had to schedule meetings with them, schedule internal meetings to provide updates and progress projects. So being very disciplined, managing tasks, I took that away from them a lot, and that's what helps me kind of get up in the morning and say, hey, I have my routine here. I know what I'm doing today. This is my schedule, and just made that transition easier.
Yeah. It's interesting when it comes to discipline and structure and designing that for a better life. Because oftentimes we can just say, well, you know what, I can reschedule that meeting, or I'm not feeling good. But showing up, even if you're not feeling good, to complete a task or help someone, over time you build a calluses, don't you, in your mind, where you're like, I just got to do it. I just have to be there.
I think exactly. I some days like it's up and down really with
Yeah.
this type of business. Um, but in terms there is demand for it. But I think some days are tough. Where yeah, I mean, I might not feel the best in terms of, hey, I don't know if I want to go back to into work today.
Mhm.
And maybe I can tell myself, hey, I'm running this show. I guess I can sleep in and sleep it off. But it doesn't really work like that. I feel it's a few different things, I guess. I feel bad, if I'm not performing, if I'm not helping my clients, that kind of pushes me to go. And um, I think I'm pretty good with sort of controlling, like if I do have a bad feel, whatever it is, just then get upright, or maybe it was a tough court battle. I can control that pretty good. I do that a lot with exercise. I think exercise sort of helps me, even if it's a quick 10-15 minutes, just refocus what I'm, I guess, trying to accomplish.
And it's funny because, when we're so busy, we lack exercise. We say, oh, we'll put it on the back burner and not focus on that. How have you been able to just say, you know what? I need to go exercise. Motion creates emotion.
I think it's the feel I get. It's almost an addiction at this point, where I feel off. I mean, for example, I'll give you a typical rundown of my day. I'm dropping my kids off to school. I come to work between 8:30 to 9, and depends on the schedule. I mean, sometimes I'm booked up. I have to be ready to go. I would adjust accordingly. But sometimes I come in and I'm like, I don't think I can start yet. I gotta go. I'm lucky enough in the plaza where I work, there's a fitness center. And I just go there. I go there 10, 15, 20 minutes, hit the treadmill a bit, do some weights, nothing excruciating, but it's something that grounds me and kind of lets me know, okay, you've done that. If I haven't had breakfast, I get something in. I mean, I got to make sure I'm functioning on all levels before I can perform on all levels for other people. And then some people can sit all day. I mean, I have employees here that are way better, I guess, at managing emotion than me, because they can sit for 8, 9 hours, 7, 8 hours, I guess, and they're fine. They don't have to do much. For myself, every 3, 4 hours, I feel if I can top it up, I'm going to top it up. And that involves doing a quick run, if it's beautiful outside, doing a quick run, doing some weights, doing some workout classes, whatever I can get my hands on in that time frame.
You know, you come from a world of energy, corporate law, corporate Calgary, and you now transition into an entrepreneurial role. Your friends, colleagues, clients are different now. What made you pivot, and what was that leap like, that initial decision? How did that come about?
I think it was like, honestly, several different factors. Yeah. So, I mean, going into university, I kind of didn't really have a full idea what I wanted to finish. I talked to my family. I mean, I spoke to my father quite a bit. I mean, he's a very knowledgeable guy. We kind of ran through some options together. And then I ended up kind of finishing at the University of Calgary a degree in accounting. Now, at that time, it was like 2008, 2009 financial crisis. Probably one of the worst times to look for work. But that just made me push a little bit harder to find something. And at that time, I mean, in my early 20s, I found the oil and gas, the energy industry so appealing. I was like, wow, this is where I want to grow. This is where I want to build my life around. And that's what my focus was. And I was fairly lucky that early on, I had internships, or I think they were called internships, where with school you have to do like 4 months. Yeah. I was with a few different companies, and then I ended up being a new graduate for a 2-year period in a midstream company. And I liked what I saw. I liked the opportunities. I liked how I saw there was a lot of mentorship provided. And I mean, I was just overwhelmed with how successful these people were. I had never seen, in my mind, these people were very successful, very motivated, knowledgeable, and I just wanted to work towards that. So for a while, I saw myself growing, and I had a few different roles. I was more introverted at that time, so accounting made sense. But after, I wanted to explore where I could actually have interactions with clients. And that's where sort of commercial management, looking at facilities, commercial operations, that's what drew me. And I loved seeing that. So it was probably good for 5, 6 years. I really saw myself growing. And then I think it was really seeing the ups and downs of oil and gas. Like up to 2014, it was amazing. I was like, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm in my early 20s. I'm going to Stampede. I started loving Stampede again. I was going there as a kid for the rides, and this time I saw it from a different perspective. Like we were getting like seats to see the chucks and to see the rodeo, and I never done that before. And the grandstand show with clients, with other coworkers, wining and dining, getting deals. I mean, it was just beautiful. And then I guess the downside of it, seeing how it's managed with employees. So I had mentors, and then all of a sudden, that 20-year mentor, he loses his job. He's no longer there. He's worked as an example, I mean, he worked his whole life to be a director or a vice president, and then, sorry, I mean, sorry to tell you, you're no longer needed here, or I mean, something along those lines. And usually, what I saw, people kind of did not know what was going to happen till the last minute. Like sometimes people were like, "Oh wow, I just got a promotion," and then 2 weeks later, it's like, "No, you're actually out of a job." So that was insane to see. And these are my mentors, and I was like, well, I didn't like that feel. I didn't like seeing what was happening to them. So that was part of it. And then just that growth. I mean, I still saw the growth, but I just didn't. It was very risky as you aged. I didn't see myself fully anymore. That kind of scared me a bit. So I tried exploring different options within the company. I love the company. But then eventually, I think they saw maybe my hunger was different. I'm not sure. But the other side of it, like I said, my parents were lawyers. They were very educated corporate lawyers from former Yugoslavia. And they worked hard to get, like, we had everything there. It's former Yugoslavia in Bosnia and Sarajevo. They had everything. Like we had enough. Family was there. They had income. Good jobs. And then in the 80s, kind of, my family started to explore other options. They saw, like, I guess, economic instability in former Yugoslavia. And I think my aunt was the first one to explore opportunities in Toronto and Ontario. And shortly after, I mean, there was a huge civil war. Everything changed, and like nobody expected it. I mean, we had everything. So they basically gave up their jobs, and they had to work hard here in Canada for a long time. And I looked at that and I saw, well, I liked first, I guess, the work ethic that they had. Like they had amazing work ethic. I mean, they're retired now, but for 20 plus, 30 plus years here, I mean, it was just amazing to see. So that kind of, they sacrificed a lot to build everything from scratch. And I was like, I want to do my best. And I just felt I wasn't, again, seeing these mentors the way it was happening to them, it wasn't my best. And I wanted to do more. And then just on the legal side, I mean, I was in the corporate world. I did sit around with internal counsel and stuff like that. But I felt like I like learning. I like studying. I was always a bookworm growing up. I like reading. And I think that part in me just kind of said, hey, what else can you learn? And there was also friends, family facing different things. And my father here, I mean, he was a corporate lawyer, but he learned the law here, like in his 40s, I think, mid 40s, like personal injury. He introduced me to, I mean, he was, for example, part of a car accident, and he didn't know how it all worked. So he figured it out, and he taught me that. And I was very interested how that worked. And then I wanted to explore more. And eventually it kind of led me down that path to explore a different career. But in my mind, I was still thinking, hey, maybe the company can work with me. Maybe I can be assisting them on the legal side. I was doing so much on the commercial side. And then when that didn't work out, I just had to pursue this. I don't mean to ramble, I'm sorry, but
No, it's great. Yeah.
The other thing I think was just the level of appreciation that I felt, like satisfaction in my own life. So I felt satisfied for a long time with the company when I was making them pretty good money.
Yeah.
I was making money for somebody else, and but I didn't feel the satisfaction, I guess, that they cared as much. I mean, I was an employee. They cared, I mean, somewhat for their budgets and their bottom lines, but I just didn't feel that, oh wow, this is amazing. There's $1 million coming in, there's $2 million coming in. This is I just didn't feel that respect maybe or satisfaction on my own side. And I didn't even feel the clients were giving me that from like the smaller producers that we were dealing with, because they were subject to whatever my company was, the company was doing, I guess. So that was part of the other reason, was as I explored helping people, I was tutoring for a while. I was a mortgage broker for a while, and kind of interacting with people till I got my law degree. I got satisfaction from just respect from people, and satisfaction, even if I made a fraction of funds for myself and for them, just because it was different. It was such a more intimate relationship, and that appealed to me in my, I guess, early 30s.
But when we look back at life, yes, financial security is important, but there's emotional security that matters as well. People to people interactions, humanizing each other. But most likely it's trying to figure out that human connection, being appreciated, feeling loved, respected. All those little details matter. And we overlook it by financial compensation, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. But what about everything else? So they all add up to being human.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, and I think for me specifically at that time as well, I mean, I think it's just the risk side of it. Like, I had everything, I mean, for a long time, even in oil and gas, nice job. I had a balanced life, family, exercises, friend gatherings, like everything was balanced. Like, there was no need for me to prove anything to anyone. Like, if I was to prove something, maybe I already proved something by doing this job for a number of years. But I felt I wanted to prove it to myself, because other people, like my family, biggest support in making me, in me doing this. Just because, some people, I think, I've seen some entrepreneurs, some guys, some ladies, my age, younger, a little bit older, and they have no families, but they're so driven and so motivated to do their job and to expand their business. They have it in their head, and they can do that on their own. I think I can do a lot of it on my own, but without the family, I don't think I need that backbone. I need something to fight for, and the emotional aspect. I mean, the steady paycheck was something that, I'm a very emotional person, and I just, I'm just emotional. So,
And there's nothing wrong with that, just because you get it. Yeah.
Sorry. No, there's nothing wrong with it, but, maybe it's that Eastern European emotion. I'm not sure, but it's a lot of emotion over everything. And then jumping in as an entrepreneur, it's scary. Like, emotionally, it took me a while to get it through my head. You can do this. You can be steady. This is how it's going to look. Even though people around me that barely knew me, or friends or even family, it seemed they always expected, they saw more, that I can do more. And then eventually, finally, I sort of trained myself that, yes, I can do more. I've seen other people. When I went into oil and gas, like, it was a big deal for my parents, apparently for some communities. But in the end, a lot of people from former Yugoslavia or from across the world that had to come to Canada, they were doing these jobs as well. I mean, that's what they liked. That's what they were doing. And I was very impressed, and I liked that they were part of the energy industry. But that also made me realize I wasn't doing enough. I'm capable to do more and connect that emotion. So that's a big part of it. Yeah. And you speak of emotion a lot. I think right now I am controlling. There was an article you had on your site. I forget what it was, but it was something about just the mindset, controlling that mindset. And I'm constantly thinking too, am I overreacting here? Is my negative thinking kicking in for no reason? Or is my emotion clouding this judgment? Okay, let's go do some push-ups. And I come back and I'm like, okay, it was clouding my judgment, I guess. But when you're in it, in that emotion, if you don't know how to channel it the right way, it can be a problem for even doing this, for even being an entrepreneur. So
Yugoslavia. So are you Serbian or Bosnian or Croatian?
a little bit of everything, man.
Yeah.
So that's I think what made this possible too. So my father's family Serbian, my mother's family Croatian, and then I was born in Sarajevo. I was fortunate enough to, when the war started, I had, I was very small. I had no idea what was happening. My parents were like saying, "Hey, Steve, we're going on a vacation." And that turned into like a 3-year vacation. So maybe I was a little bit gullible, I guess, but it was good for me, kind of good and bad, I guess, because it was good that I was protected from that, from the travesty. I didn't fully realize what happened till probably in my teens, in my mid-teens. YouTube started to kick in, and I started Googling more and like what exactly happened there. And I was like, wow, that makes sense that they didn't tell me anything. So they took us. I was actually fortunate enough to study in Belgrade, Yugoslavia, the capital of Serbia. I did some elementary school. I went kind of back and forth between Canada and there, but it's a city that people would give up anything to say that they belong to that city. I was fortunate enough to be there. And maybe it's crazy, I guess, but I think I don't know how it is now, but at that time, there just wasn't much opportunity. Whereas here, nothing really seems impossible if you put your mind to it. So like I said, I thought I was on this vacation. I think even in Serbia, my classmates knew like what I came from. Like their parents told them more about the war, some kids than I guess my parents told me. But they were very quiet about it. They never brought it up. They really knew how to socialize. But they never they didn't bring it up at all. They treated me like no different. So that was really amazing. The first time I found out exactly what happened is seeing kids from former Yugoslavia here in Canada, and I didn't understand. I guess I didn't understand why they were acting so grown up. I think that's the best way to put it. Like, why were they? We were 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14 years old. Why were they acting like adults? And a lot of it is because they had to grow up. They had to grow up overnight. Like they were introduced to that war a lot more than I wasn't introduced to it, but they saw a lot more and they were told a lot more. And that kind of makes you grow up. Even in Belgrade, I came from a very conservative part of the city. And when I came here, kids had grown up. Like at that time, I think like Power Rangers, I don't know if you remember that. Very powerful. But I think they just came back. They had their like 30-year anniversary.
Okay.
And I was such a big fan as a kid of that show. I watched it on Netflix now. I just watched it again. But I was like, hey guys, let's go play this. And they're already talking about marriage and just very grown up feel. And part of it had to do because of what happened.
I love Zach, the Power Ranger, black one.
Zach, he came back. And the blue one, I think his name's Billy. Yeah. I like the red one. I identified with the red one.
Was that Tommy?
Jason.
No. Jason.
Yeah, so Jason was the red one. He gained some weight now as an adult, I guess. So I don't want to follow that path. But it was so that kind of stuff.
How do you define success today, and what does balance mean to you today?
What do I find? So success today, I guess, is making sure that I'm tending to my clients' needs. That business is functioning on all fronts. I have a lot of task lists. Like it's getting crazy. Like this year, especially, like I'm jotting down not every hour, but close to it. I have to make sure that everything's covered because I want to fight for my clients. I want to fight for my business. I want to fight for my health, and I want to fight for my family. I want to make sure that I'm hitting all fronts. I don't want to have excess noise. So if I was going to speak to younger Steve was different, I guess. He liked that corporate world. I would still tell him to try that out at that time because there was a lot of experience from that section of working in oil and gas that he had to go through. I had to go through. So to try that again, maybe just to assess again, it's so important, people around you. You have to make sure that if people are treating you well in your time of need, always show them care. No matter if their feelings towards you may have changed, give them a shot, give them a few shots, because they helped you and nobody else would. But then eventually, if there's a lot of naysayers, if there's a lot of people just kind of holding you back, you're like, this sounds negative to me, it doesn't make sense. Cut that off and just focus on yourself, focus on your family. And then that's the balance. And that the key to that, of keeping that balance, is kind of juggling everything. Juggling the health aspect of it, the family aspect of it, the business aspect of it. And still tell Steve, I guess, that it's still a work in progress. There's so much more to get done. It's stress. It's positive stress versus a little bit more negative stress being an employee. But I would say it's positive stress, where you're depending on yourself, you're depending on your staff too. There's no guarantees, but just keep going with it. And if you feel doubts, if you feel any sort of pushback, rely on your family, meditate, work out, whatever you need to do to get back to I guess, being persistent, being motivated. I've never done some of this stuff before. Actually, if I can be very truthful with you, this is actually my first real podcast. So
thank you for that. I appreciate that.
You're my first friend. So it's just different things that I haven't done before. And I'm like, I want to do this. And even just trying to reach out. I remember I recently joined an association that assists men and families, that associates with mental health. So that's how I really wanted to, and I was pushing Ellen. I was like, please put me in Zach's good graces, because I really wanted your platform specifically about the mental health and the people around you. I felt that resonated. I did want to ask you as well, like, I don't think I found this through my research. Like, you started this 2 years ago. You have your own motivations, ambitions for doing so. So if I may ask you, just as I'm curious, I guess, what's pushing you to do this? And you've been already so many great Canadians here.
Thank you. Yeah. And I think for me, especially when I got sober, I was just like, you know what? My social life's gone. Now what do I do? At the time, during the pandemic. So my mom had just died at 55 months before the pandemic starts. So you're truly alone. You know, your mind, your world is collapsed. Now this external world is collapsing, and you're thinking, well, how am I going to survive this? So talking to folks like yourself and many other Canadians, I went back to a childhood comfort of storytelling. I love sitting around and the teacher would tell us a story. So as an adult now, it's such a pleasure to speak with people and understand their life struggles and to find things that I can apply to my own life.
Do you, what kind of, do you have a workout routine in particular? What do you like to do?
I walk the dog, which is kind of nice. That's a healthy thing for me to do, just get outside and move around. But there's got to be more to it. You know, we can't just stay stagnant in life either.
I find the walks don't give me that endorphin. I think it's that kick. The runs do it. The biking doesn't really do it unless I do it for a while, maybe uphill biking.
Okay, yeah.
Weights, like I do a lot of solo stuff just because of my schedule. Yeah. So weights are good, workout classes, and then swimming. Like we had a really hot summer last year, so swimming is key. The meditation, so I just want to be kind of, I guess, open with you. You know, I was waiting for the birth of my daughter last year. So it was my third child, and I was not, with the business still being young, like it was a lot to juggle. And I got introduced to, for the first time in my life, but for probably like really looking at guided meditation and taking the time to do that. Now, I'm still not fully applying it now. I think I'm more aware of my thinking, like I have thoughts in my head, and sometimes there are a lot of people living rent free in my head, I guess. I don't know, but lots of different thoughts. And the meditation helps. The one thing I also wanted to let you know is it's very powerful. So I do think I need to invest a little bit more in it, of how we think about things. And like I said, in oil and gas, I had everything. I was good. I could just sit there, and if I get terminated in 1 year, 2 years, just find a different job. But it was convincing myself, I guess, a little bit of a mind game as well, that things were a lot worse or a lot more dire than they actually were, to get myself to get up and do things. So it was as simple as the way somebody spoke with me, the way, anything somebody told me, the way they looked at me, like I took that maybe a little bit too personally, and I used it to push myself to do stuff.
Why has mental health been such a vital thing for you, especially men's mental health?
I think for a few different reasons, I guess. For myself too, I feel it's very important to be able to function properly, and not to rely on anything external that might affect it. So, and I had the opportunity to live in a few different countries, and I've seen how it works, how the social structures are, and seeing it here, growing up, especially in Calgary, it can become very isolated. We have all these suburbs. You got to drive around. Sometimes, even growing up, you have to drive around a lot just to see your friends. Where in some of these other countries where I was, you just get out of your house, everybody's there. Like, it was so more dense. And here it's like everything's isolated. You've got long winters, which have been on. Like, I think last one wasn't too bad, but there's some really brutal winters out there. And then you're kind of drawing yourself in a bit more, and you're more alone with your thoughts. I mean, this COVID especially, I mean, people I saw people like friends, family that were dealing with issues, and it affects me as well. I mean, I feel down. I don't feel good when I'm isolated. And part of the reason too is that we really have to be just open with each other. Like, I think pressures within the job and having to behave as an employee a certain way and smile and act a certain way. I've been through that. I can do that again if I need to, but it's not as genuine maybe as just connecting in this way. So now that I'm connecting in this way, I'm still very cognizant that I need to really control my mental health. And part of it is interacting with the right people, focusing on yourself, focusing on your job. If you have amazing connections, amazing friends, that helps. I know I've seen a lot of people struggle with that just because they're presenting a certain version of themselves to everybody else, and you have to keep up with those appearances. Just be yourself. And I tried to be involved on several different fronts. So like I did Movember. I mean, Movember expanded. Maybe it's been like 7-8 years now. They've been doing men's mental health. And in the company, the first year I started raising some money. And then I was surprised how many people donated that I never interacted with those individuals. Some of them were higher ups and very high in the company. They contributed funds. They talked to me about mental health. I saw how important that was. So that really meant a lot to me. And, I've had close friends which have struggled with that, and I didn't understand what that was. I mean, even when I would tell, like I would come to my dad, Tata, like I'm feeling depressed, or he's like, come on, what are you saying? You're feeling depressed? That doesn't. We're men, like when like that kind. But it's that kind.
It's that generation. It's from where they come from. It's so different. They put that guard up.
Yes, which is good or bad. I mean, my grandpa, I think he passed like fairly early. He was 55, but he was always like saying, "Hey, I don't want to go to a doctor." Like, he was, even that older generation, they were just like, "That's how you have to be. You have to be tough."
Tough.
And then my dad's like, come on, just like go focus on something else. What are you doing here, man? What are you saying here? But and then sometimes I was maybe playing it up as well, but sometimes I was genuinely feeling down. Um, but in the oil and gas, I guess when I did the Movember, there was an expectation. Now you got to do that every year, and that took away from okay, now I got to grow a mustache
The
again.
authenticity and the, yeah, how you truly felt. You did it because it came from the heart.
Yeah. So I don't like that it kept repeating, but it makes sense. I mean, it's every November,
Mm.
but you don't have to. I guess they expected the same thing, so that took away from it. And then Canadian Center for Men and Families, CCMF, just recently through again Parker PR connected me with them. I wanted to be connected with them because it's for essentially, and they're a very growing organization. Essentially, it's for men. It seemed to be a part of it, just men that are going through a marital breakdown. But it's so much more than that. From speaking to some of the organizers and volunteers, it's for men that have families. That it's for men that are working, and how do they balance this out? And they can speak to other men about it. There's events. So I think I'm recently just joined. I'll be on the board, and then we're going to organize some events for just socializing, just having that connection. Some people, I'm lucky I have a good support network, but some people, they just don't have that in their lives. And this associations like this will help them build that, whether it's familyhood or brotherhood or whatever you call it. It's so important. Like, I mean, I'm emotional. If I have to express emotion, if that looks weak, I'll do it. I'll do it where, I mean, if I have to be aggressive in court or
Yeah,
something,
that's
then
different. Yeah.
I'm gonna
But
air
that's
that.
separate from who Steve is as a person, right? That's Steve in his role, Steve in his job, and then there's Steve alone. There's all these masks we wear. As long as at the core you're at peace, that's all that matters.
Yeah, I agree with you. At core, you have to be in peace. But for me to do what I want to do, keep doing what I need to kind of create that sense that I'm not fully at peace, if that makes sense. That I'm hungry to do more,
Yeah.
even though I could be.
I guess it is your world, right? You can't just be like, I'm at peace, shalom. Okay, guys, let's in court. I don't, that's not probably not good.
It's like, Mr. Dimic, why are you so why are you monotone right now? I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm at peace, I
I'm
guess.
at peace, I'm calm. I did yoga earlier
Do the yoga after the
after.
court
Yeah.
performance.
But as long as you don't shake your core, because then it goes into your family life, it goes into your friend circles, it comes to work again. It just you got to repeat the cycles. You got to disrupt things again, going to court, helping your clients out, and then just gravitating back to who you are.
I like to yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the big thing too is when I was I guess sitting at my desk, employee, 8 to 5 or whatever, 8 to 6, sometimes there was long hours, and I wouldn't even work out as much because I wasn't like, I was a lot at my desk, and then okay, I did a lunch workout, and then there was a lot of expectation to be around. Like, they liked watching. I don't know how it is now. I can't speak to it, but it was very important to a lot of people that they saw you there. Like, even if you're there at 7 a.m. and you don't do anything all day, well, at least you're there at 7 a.m. And then so workouts weren't as important, and I would come home and I wouldn't have that separation as much.
Mhm.
Right now, I think I do have that active sort of trigger that, hey, I want to do homework with my daughter tonight. Hey, I want to maybe have a date with my partner. Hey, I need to do something where I'm going to disassociate from work. And then eventually I do pick up, given the nature of the business. I mean, everyone goes to bed. I'm upstairs working again till midnight or something, but that's the nature of what I
That's
chose.
anything. Yeah. When it comes to the services you offer, is it only for Calgarians? Is it for Albertans in general? And what are some of the services you offer entrepreneurs and small businesses?
So in terms of the business, it's essentially, I mean, the best way to put it is that we're very comfortable with catering to the different practice areas. It's within Alberta. I mean, I'm a member of the bar in Alberta, so a lot of our clients are from Calgary, from some of the bigger cities, Calgary or Edmonton, but anywhere within Alberta. So we're kind of really catering to the heart of the province. When I previously I was working at Shield Law with a very good lawyer, Mark Crair. He was a really nice mentor to me, and he's been doing this. He's had his own business for 20 plus years, and I was like, wow, look at this guy doing this. I wanted to get his energy as well and his mentorship, because he was doing something I wanted to do. At Shield Law, I was working a lot on civil litigation, which is a big practice area. It includes personal injury contracts, insurance, employment law, and I kind of still like to do that a lot for individuals and families. And then sort of shifted as well. I know you've mentioned I was in the oil and gas world. Now I'm trying to shift more, and we are shifting more towards providing corporate services. So that's anything from incorporating, managing the business, being a registered office for the business, assisting in the sale or purchase of the business or part of a business, share transfer, restructuring a business, all that sort. We're the go-to to do that. And I'm flowing back towards that energy industry, but I don't think there was any there was no issues with it. It's just I was staying away from it just because the nature of my job was to help individuals, and I still want to do that. So on the corporate side, we do that. Civil litigation will assist anything outside of court, to demand letters and negotiations, to actually filing claims in the Alberta Court of Justice, which used to be the Provincial Court of Alberta. And that's changed as well now. Like, that used to be small claims. Like, apparently, like when I came in, I think it was already 50,000. Now it's $100,000 or less. Like, so it's not really small claims court anymore. Then there's the Court of King's Bench. And in terms of some of the other services, like I said, we're really into trying to assist as many people as possible. There's commercial real estate, but very comfortable with family, wills and estates, criminal law. So that sort of supplements the business on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you.
And the reason, again, I'm trying to reach out more to not just the corporate employees or individuals, but the companies themselves, and just to see how we can assist and provide a better service. I know a lot of them, a lot of the big corporations, I mean, when I was in it as well, they're dealing with these law firms that have been around for 100 plus years. Bennett Jones, I mean, you go to like Heritage Park and you see I think it's the original or the transported office for Bennett Jones. I was like,
wow,
that's impressive. Like, yeah. And I mean, I always confuse these two because, and I worked with Parker on this. I kind of always had it in my head, but we kind of papered it. And I'm still always looking at it, vision versus mission. Like, what is my vision? What is my mission? My vision is to grow this to that level. Like, I mean, it's fun. I also have to be patient. Like, I think I expect so much every year, and I achieve maybe 20% of it, maybe 30% of it. Like, I don't get to everything. And I remember being so irritated with that, like when I was first building my goals. But then I remember something. There's a Canadian entrepreneur. He's I think he's originally Croatian, Robert Hrjevic. He was
yes, he's a Dragon's Den Hrjevic group. Yes.
Yeah, he motivated me a bit when I was looking. I was like, wow, this guy came with Croatia with barely anything, and look what he's doing now. And I think this is one of his quotes where it's like, don't look at what you've done in 1 year. Take a look at what you're able to accomplish in 10 years, because it could actually surprise you. I think that was his quote. Maybe Einstein, I'm not sure. I don't know.